crack? Welcome to today's video. My name is David Kelly, I'm the Irish Guy Vlogs, and today is an interview with Bressie. Bressie, if you don't know, is from the Irish indie band The Blizzards, and I had the opportunity to interview him at the Marquee by the Sea last weekend. I thought he was a nice guy, he was well able to speak about what he's passionate about, so then he seems to have good intentions for mental health in Ireland, and I think that's a positive thing. I'm back again tomorrow with another video. It's going to be an interview with Liam Geddes, the Voice of Ireland winner. He played at the Marquee by the Sea, and he was brilliant. Good, so there's an interview with him coming tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit shorter, but yeah, it was still pretty interesting. Just a quick intro to the interview. This is Bressie interview 2019 Marquee by the Sea. Hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow with another one. Bye.
I'll just move the chairs out because you're like, who the fuck? Is that right?
Yep.
There.
I'm here with Niall Breslin of the... is it okay to call you Niall? Or
Whatever you want, man.
Have you played here before? You just visited?
We played Cush Farraga years ago at the festival. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah, I think it was the first Cush Farraga we played. So I've been here and I've played here myself. And I've been down here many times. I've swam in that sea. I've done some triathlons and stuff around here. So yeah. I know the area quite well.
I saw that as well. That you did an Ironman.
I did. Yeah, I did an Ironman 3 years ago. It was alright. I think the training's tough. The hours and the commitment stuff, but the actual... A lot of prep for it, is there? Yeah, a lot of prep. But I have to say, I'm not sure I'd rush to do another one, but it was definitely worth giving it a shot. But
was it here in Ireland you did it? Or?
No, I didn't in Copenhagen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nice and flat.
Oh, okay. See, I always thought that they kind of did them in the warmer countries, you know, with like the intense
Well, Copenhagen was 33 degrees. Really? Yeah, I remember at the end of the race, the biggest problem wasn't my legs, was the sunburn. Absolutely scalded, yeah, no sun cream on or anything. Copenhagen is also really flat. So for a lad my size, having a nice flat cycle was the way forward. Yeah, big time.
Your podcast, Where's My Mind podcast, how do you feel it's been going? I've listened to a couple of episodes and I'm actually really into it.
Oh, thanks, man. It was what happened was I went back to study, and I thought the stuff I was studying was just so incredibly interesting and potentially helpful for people if I could find a way of kind of framing it in a way that can be relatively interesting, and also finding a platform where that would work the best. And I looked at other platforms, looked at YouTube, I looked at I think YouTube and probably podcasting are the two most effective platforms now available to get good information out to people. And I just felt, for me, the problem with YouTube is that in what I wanted to do, I wouldn't have had the capacity to shoot stuff, and so podcasting was a really intimate platform. I can do it fast. I'm very good at audio editing. I can develop this myself, and I can move. I just put it out, and I was quite nervous about it, to be honest, because I think it's people keep thinking it's a mental health podcast. It really isn't. It's more a culture podcast, because I think culture is becoming more and more important to understand, because it's having much more influence on how we feel about ourselves and the impact it has on our internal kind of experience. And that's kind of what I want to explore: society and culture more than just health and wellness.
Well, I was getting that kind of feel from it, that it wasn't just touching on mental health, that there was other topics to be. Plus, audience.
Yeah, you have to entertain. Like, exactly. People want to be entertained in a podcast platform, and also the other thing with I think we've kind of hit the peak self-help stuff. So I think it's really, really important. But I also think there has to be an allowing that we are just human, and some things hurt, and some things are great and wonderful, and some things aren't. Life isn't a straight line. It's great to think we could be positive all the time, but that's simply not real life. And I think it was trying to create that podcast to go, listen, actually, by forcing someone to always be this good time unicorn, Care Bear, happy all the time, it's just not real life. And
I think it would probably have the opposite effect if that was kind of...
it will. A psychologist will tell you it has the opposite effect, because what happens is you then throw in a big dollop of guilt, which becomes an even bigger difficult thing to try and navigate. So I wanted to take that all into account, but also look, and what we've created in Ireland is a narrative around that it's us. We've done something wrong, or we don't have something, or we're weak, or I'm starting to really start to think, and I've started doing a lot of research in the area and studying it. In many cases, it's our environment that's doing this to us, not our climate, as in what we surround ourselves with. Media, culture, the constant need to strive for perfection, this constant need to believe that this world is just this, reel of highlight reels on Instagram, and it's not good. But it's the modern world. So I have this other thing with the podcast that we had to say to people: listen, we can't stop technology, and I don't think we should, because there's many such nourishing, brilliant parts of modern technology that I think are just amazing. But there's many parts of technology that do deplete us and do hurt us and do overwhelm us. What I'm trying to talk about is how do we teach people to deal with that and to actually understand it a little bit more, so it doesn't have maybe as much of an impact on them as what it could if they weren't aware of it. So I'm a big fan of technology. I'm a big fan of modernity. I think you look at things like AI and machine learning, it has the potential to do an inordinate amount of positive influence on our society, but it also has the potential to absolutely decimate and make Black Mirror look like Peppa Pig if we don't regulate this and make sure that it's used for the right reasons. And my fear is that at the moment the potential powers that be don't seem to be using their powerful influence for good. There's certain people in the world who have that capacity that will try to honour what this can do in positive ways, because it could have huge positive impacts on health, stuff like that. But also I looked at the last European elections in Ireland, and nobody mentioned AI. We're at the cusp of a new industrial revolution where this world is going to change almost unrecognisably, and no one's actually talking about this stuff. I know there's political talk about it, but not in Ireland. And I thought the last election, generally with elections they'll talk about things they know will get votes, and most people haven't really understood the influence of AI in life yet.
Do you think there's a bit of a fear?
Oh, there's huge fear. It's like we look at Frankenstein, the story of Frankenstein, and Frankenstein is about almost being careful for what you wish for. It was almost where modernity got too powerful and too fast, and we didn't understand how to deal with it, and it kind of created Frankenstein. It ran riot. We have to watch that now, because that's the third episode of the podcast. Where's My Mind is called How to Be Deadly at Jenga, and we use the idea that we need to become aware that these potential advances, if they move too fast and we're not ready for them, could do some serious damage. And also the fact that our attention, a human's attention is now the most powerful commodity in the world, more powerful than oil. Data and attention, and grabbing your attention, is worth a lot of money. And my fear is when something becomes a powerful commodity, what happens? Generally, there's some form of conflict. These are things, and these are realities of the modern world, and a lot of people don't want to think about it. And we also use the analogy of the Matrix, the red pill and the blue pill. The red pill is like, you get to see this is actually happening, as we have to open our eyes and be aware of this. We have to come into this eyes wide open, or you can keep taking the blue pill and just believe none of this is happening. Yeah. It's happening right now all over the world, and we have to figure out what we're going to do about it. It could be really positive. It could save millions of people's lives, but then you have the idea, if we save all these people's lives through AI, do we have the resources in this world for people who might live an extra 20 years? And that's where climate change comes into it again, and there's this constant, so everything's intertwined and connected. And unfortunately, many political powers don't talk about it. And what also we've created, and we said in the podcast, is there's two groups of people shouting at each other. Terrible binary culture where if you have a different opinion to me, I must hate you and scream at you. That's not progressive. That doesn't progress anything. It doesn't progress social environments. It doesn't progress. We know that. Any sociologist will tell you that. So these are things we have to talk about and not shout about. And if you have a different opinion to me, I would love to chat to you. I'd love to find somewhere where we can meet, and maybe somewhere where we can create dialogue.
It's sad that we don't have a culture like that in Ireland, that...
We're lucky in Ireland, we don't have also that really, really overly divided culture now we're seeing in the UK and maybe in America, especially in America. We have this really divided, quite angry binary culture.
Into extremism, man.
Yeah, it's extremism. It's frightening. But in Ireland, I think because of our colonial past and our history, that I think we've enough in our heads, and also we've gone through two of the most important social movements our country has seen through the marriage equality campaign and repeal, where we really recognise where are we at as a nation, and where we're at is now generally a very open-minded liberal nation. But rather than shout at the people who aren't that, I want to talk to them. I want to figure out why, and that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. But if somebody has a different opinion to me, and even during the marriage equality campaign, I had many friends who had different opinions to me, and I didn't want to get angry with them. I wanted to kind of ask them why. What was the reasoning for it? Is there a way I can convince you? Is there a way I can potentially educate you? Can you educate me in anything? I remember one particular friend was he was confused, and I kind of sat him down and I said, do you believe in equality? He goes, yeah. I said, well, you can't pick and choose where you believe in it. You either believe in it or you don't. You can't apply where you believe in it. And that was enough for him to go, you're right. Because I actually, one of my values is we're all born equal. I said, well then, There's your answer. Why is this an issue? And I think that wouldn't have happened if I screamed at. And that dialogue is lost on social media. There's no nuance, there's no sensitivity, no context. It's interesting because we recognise that now, and hopefully with the awareness that it is not the place to have these debates. I'm very proud of Ireland at the moment. I think we're in a world literally just imploding. We're kind of keeping our shit together as a race, as a people. I think our political systems have a lot to be desired, but I do think as people we're managing to go, fucking hell, lads. And we look at that in the podcast, and the podcast is very aimed at how proud I am of how far we've come as a country.
I'll drag you back into some Blizzard stuff. When you were first starting out, you called yourself Pop with Balls.
Power pop.
Oh, Power Pop with Balls.
With balls, yeah.
Would you still consider yourself to be the same way, or?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. One thing we don't do is we don't take ourselves. This sounds terrible. We don't take ourselves that seriously. We take what we do very seriously. I'm a massive pop fan, like good pop music. I was raised in ABBA and Boney M. I think also at music has become quite based around algorithms and how can we appeal to a certain mass market who will like this stuff. It's very easy as a musician to get sucked down that road, especially when you have people who might influence that decision, push you down that way.
And would that be something that you'd consciously try to stay away from, like to make it super appealing broadly, or would you just want to write the music you wanted to write?
We were never a band that were super appealing at a mass market, and that sounds terrible. Like when we first came out, the indie scene was big, and we were kind of an anti-indie band. We didn't like the superiority complex that indie had. It was like we're cool and we're cooler than everyone else. Fuck off. I didn't like that, and we never liked that. We never fit into it, and we never wanted to fit into it. I think the industry, since we kind of took a break for a few years, has changed dramatically, and thank God it's kind of found its feet again, because obviously the internet destroyed it for a while, and luckily within people you have arguments over Spotify, whether it's a good thing or not a good thing. What Spotify is good for, it really allows bands who wouldn't have been able to tour. Like there's bands who could release something in the Ukraine, and all of a sudden they go, well actually I can go and play in Dublin, there'll be 200 people at Wheels. That's good, that's nice, I like that. That's all Spotify. It's certainly not a revenue tool, but it certainly has a really important place in music. We can just keep getting angry that people illegally download music, or we can go, right, we have to change and move with this. And that's the thing, a lot of industries are now getting angry because the internet's destroying us. They're like, lads, you got a warning shot 15 years ago when it destroyed our industry, so if you're still worrying about it, that's your fault. The modern world's the modern world, so the internet has affected everything in good and bad ways. The music industry has found its feet again, I think, and where the money is now in music is in the live industry.
That'd be ticket sales.
Ticket sales, yeah, they're massive. Yeah, merchandise, stuff like that, and that's just the way it had to go. It's no longer in selling albums, and that's just evolution.
Yeah.
Every industry has to go through it, and hopefully it maintains it. But I do think it's got a bit more algorithmy, and record label executives are signing people on numbers and not on. Some of them are very good. They will sign on development. That's developed. These like Hosier, for example. That was developed. I remember hearing Hosier when I was 15, going, Jesus Christ.
Is he around that long?
Yes. Not when I was 15. When he was 15, when I heard him first, I remember just going, holy shit, this guy is incredible. And it took his manager, Caroline, that's the pure definition of how to manage a band or an artist. Took the time, knew how talented, could have got him out really quickly. Protect, develop, and 6 years later, Take Me to Church comes out. Global superstar.
What a song as well, though.
What a song, what an artist, what a lyricist, what a talent. And yes, he always had the talent in terms of his vocal capacity, but there's a lot more to being a brilliant artist than being a good singer. There's a lot to it, and I think he was a prime example of good management, good development, well protected, and unreal talent. And that's what happened to him. Gavin James is another example, brilliant manager that protected him. When you hear someone like Gavin James or Hosier, you automatically go, this is a different league, this is pure class, this is literally pure class. But they could still get it wrong, and it could end up being career overnight, So, but I think one of the advices I give to musicians is always understand the power of good management. Good managers are invaluable if they allow you to develop.
No, one more question.
Yeah, go for it, bud.
Well, two more questions.
Yeah,
Have you Breaking Bad?
I watched it. Yeah, I would be a fan of it. It's up there with the top 5 TV shows of all time.
Okay.
With The Wire.
You may not be a fan, but I know that you're a fan of cooking.
Oh yeah, you're not cooking meth now, are you?
No.
It's just like, geez, I'm not a fan of that.
I know you're a fan of cooking.
Yeah.
And I know that you're trying to give kids, a little bit of a boost to teach them how to cook and things like that.
Amazing.
So I got you a kit.
Oh, that's very. I thought I saw the silica gel. I was like, no, I can't. This is.
You might come and meet us in the kitchen, but I'm not sure if, as a fan of the show, I'm not sure if you like it, but.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. I can't wear it on stage tonight, but
yeah,
amazing. That is amazing. Well, I'll wear it for the last question. And did any part of you watching the show always wonder what the food tasted like there?
Yeah. Oh man, all the time.
Always thinking, oh my God, what a character.
Laced with meth.
Yeah. It's like, it's unbelievable.
So, I was kind of hoping that...
out of context, this might look weird, but thank you very much.
This is going to be the only clip I'll show.
That's good, that's all that matters.
Between when you split up and now, is there much of a difference between Parade and now?
Barrier to get it out, to making a record, nothing's changed. Literally nothing's changed. I think what's great again is things like vinyl becoming more important in the music industry is great because actually audio quality. And it's important because audio quality, when you're just doing MP3 kind of, and it's all programmed, audio quality wouldn't probably have the same importance as it does now. You look back in the 80s or 90s when you've like bands like Guns N' Roses and stuff like that, when they were recording, it was a beautiful art form. I do think we lost that importance of audio quality. And I own a recording studio, and audio quality has always been just making things sound nice and warm and comforting. So with the records, the big thing for me making the record was if your personality doesn't come across, whether it's a good or bad personality, if it doesn't come across in your music, it's not good. I need to be able to hear a band and go, I'd love to go for a pint with that lad. I need to know who's singing that, and if I don't believe it, that's enough for me to go.
Do you still have the rule if it doesn't work live, you don't record it?
Yes.
So
Well, no, if it doesn't have impact live, and also if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't have to resonate where people are jumping and pulling their heads off each other.
Okay.
It needs to resonate with someone in terms of, I get this is, and at the end of the day, like, you can get caught up making music for other people, but you do have to think about people who like your music. It's important, but also you got to start with the most important person, and that's yourself. Are you buying this? Do you believe this? If you don't believe it, how the fuck do you expect anyone else to? And that's any art.
That's all the questions I have for you. Thanks a lot.
Deadly, man. Thank you for my gift. No bother. Sorry, I'm a bit late.
Do you mind if I get a photo with you?
No, at all. No, I definitely got me Breaking Bad. I did watch it like literally 3 times. But I better call Saul that I didn't like it at all.
Cheers, man. I really appreciate it.
No bother, dude. Thanks, man.
Really nice to meet you.
Take care of yourself.
Best of luck with you.
No bother.